Hello, Captains. This is Kent again, and welcome to the Flight Show. So, in my regional series, we are now doing our first installment of the African series of flights. And so, I was asked to do a review of the African continent that was released by Orbx. And that actually was kind of hard. I made a couple of videos, and I really wasn't happy with them. And let me explain why. Africa is huge. And when I say huge, I mean really huge. And I want to put into perspective how huge Africa really is. I'm just going to show you this map, and you'll get kind of the point. So this whole thing is continental Africa. Look how many countries in the world actually fit in Africa. The United States, Portugal, Spain, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, Denmark, Italy, Switzerland, all of Eastern Europe, India, the UK on top of Madagascar, and Japan. Japan is huge. It's like almost the length of the entire eastern seaboard of the United States. All of that fits within the continental Africa. Now, how am I supposed to review that in an hour? You know, it was a little like, I don't even know where to start. So what I thought was, instead of just doing it all at once, let's take some really interesting places in Africa and show how it's rendered. Now, mind you, this is not simply Orbx, because I have Ultimate Mesh going on. They just released actually a photo realism, a photo scenery to go on top of or with their African continent. So there's going to be a lot, and then of course I have, as you know, Terraflora 2 working. So this is going to be interesting, but I really wanted to start somewhere that I thought would be someplace you wouldn't have necessarily guessed. So where we're going to start from is this is an airport at the Lake Manyara airport in Tanzania. And we're going to be looking at the Ngorongoro crater. It's the largest crater on Earth. And to give you an idea of what it looks like, if you're standing over the crest, this is the crest of the crater. This is you looking down into it. This crater is absolutely massive. I mean, I think the meter that hit here must have been like, maybe the size of several buses. I mean, this is just huge. And to show you something else, this is where we're taking off from. This is the Lake Manyara airport, and we'd be right there. And if I'm correct, here's the lake. Is this it? Yeah. And so, yeah, there's the airport, there's the lake. And here's our crater. And we're going to fly over Magadi, which is the lake inside of the crater. And and you can see it, depending on your time of rear, it's actually has a lot of vegetation. So, not that my photo where we're flying is matching the time that this photo was taken, but we're going to see what we can see and see how well it matches the real thing. Let's see, I'm just trying to match oh, there we go. Here's my airport. There we go. So let's end this talking and just get into the skies and make this happen. Okay. Let's see, we are at flaps 1. Alright, we're going to take off here and head to the crater. We're going to need to get to about 7,500 feet to get over the crest. Gear up. So I think what we're going to do is climb at a rate of maybe 1,500 feet per second. Or not 1,500 feet per minute, sorry. Somewhere around there. One of the reasons I picked the Comanche to do this tour is because it has a lot of power to accelerate and gain altitude really quick. So I thought it would be the excellent choice for this particular flight. Now we're going to kind of bring our RPM back just a wee bit. All right. Now, this will also give us an opportunity. I didn't move you, did I? Come back out here. All right. Now, this is also giving an opportunity to check out the scenery. Oh, look at the lake. That's beautiful. It's giving an opportunity to see the countryside that has been rendered for the African continent by Orbx. And you can see if you are a VFR flyer, you are in for a treat. You're going to enjoy this. Flaps up. Okay, we're approaching 7,000 feet, so that's good. And we will see, you know, how realistic this is. Now, I did a test flight of this, and one thing that I was really impressed by, now mind you, I'm looking at this on 3 monitors, not just 1 monitor. So I'm curious to see if this will convey the effect that I felt like I had, but you really got the you really felt the vastness of this crater when you were flying over it. And I'm hoping that you will be able to see that in this recording. As you can see, I'm using the True Sky Cloud, the beta. I think it really does. When they knock the kinks out of this, it's going to be really an excellent addition to Prepared, hands down. And as you can see, I've kind of gotten my stutter thing taken care of. You know, I was working with, as I mentioned in my previous video, Adam Pestridge, and worked out a few things. There were some other things I had to do on my own to kind of smooth it out, but it's working, and it's a work in progress. I'm going to actually have it working a little bit better. But I needed to start filming some flights because I was itching to get something out, particularly on the African continent, because so many people have asked for it, who have been really dedicated followers of the channel, and I didn't want to put them off any longer. But like I said, I was struggling with just how big the African continent is and what the heck am I going to show you. But there are some interesting things to see if Orbx has chosen to really try to capture that. And one of those is this crater. So looking forward to it. Let's see here. We're now over the altitude that we need for to you know, fly over the crest, so we're good there. I'm going to trim us down a little bit. And, you know, to tell you a little bit about it, so, and this is coming from Wikipedia that I was giving you some of this information, that it's a protected it's like a protected nature preserve now inside this crater. There's also a large volcanic region, which I believe is this area right over here, and it's known as the Caldera. It's within the area, and the conservation area is administered by the Ngorongoro Conservation Area Authority, which is an arm of the Tanzanian government. And the boundaries follow of the division of the Ngorongoro division, sorry, in Arusha, in the Arusha, if I'm saying that right, region. So, you know, there's a lot of wildlife that exists in here, and I'm glad to know that they're doing, you know, they have agencies to protect it, because it's fascinating just to fly over in a simulator, much less what I imagine it would be to see in real life. So there is the lake that rests within the crater. And yeah, with 3 monitors, this just does feel vast, but even with 1, looking in this region, you're just kind of like, or at least I am, like, wow, this is huge. And very detailed. I think this is photorealistic that they're using for the rendering inside of it. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it looks really good at this altitude, at this distance. Now, as you can see, we're flying at almost 160 miles per hour. And flying at 160 miles per hour, you see we're no ways like getting across this quick. So it really does kind of give you an appreciation of the vastness of this crater. I encourage you to check it out. Let me even tell you again, the airport that you want to bring your plane to is the Lake Manyara, uh, Manyara, which is HTLM, or Hotel Tango Lima Mike. And again, you get up to 7,500 feet, take a heading of 305, and it's about 14 nautical miles away. And now here we are cresting, flying over the crest of the crater. Look at that. Now, I'm not going to do it here, but one of the things that I would suggest you do is, because you saw in the picture how the vegetation for the crater, depending on the time of year, it's very green and forestry. It looks a little barren right now, so maybe look at this in different seasons and see if it renders the same. Is it greener in the spring or the summertime? It would definitely be something to, give you that sense of adventure and immersion as you check out these different areas in Africa. So, just looking at this, will you say, well, would purchasing the African continent be worth it? If you're a VFR flyer, definitely worth it. Lots of things to explore. This is just the first thing that I'm showing you. I've already checked out Victoria Falls. I've checked out the pyramids at Gaza. I've flown over the dunes in Ethiopia, and they are actually a sight to see. Now look at the vastness of this crater. I have to say it was very well rendered. And the clouds and atmospheric conditions just make this look absolutely stunning. So all of my VFR people, if you want to expand your adventures to something that's out of the ordinary, I definitely endorse. I recommend getting the African continent. And also, it would be an interesting thing to kind of work on your dead reckoning piloting skills. There being vast regions where there is, nothing but wildlife and vegetation, deserts, forests. Seeing how well you do with your dead reckoning navigation, because there may not be any VOR beacons, in certain regions. So indulge, or get yourself a pontoon boat, one that has the ability to, retract wheels. I need to really see if there are any like that, or just get a boat plane, and warp yourself here on the map, and then see about landing in the lakes. What's that like? Now, this is kind of what I was telling you about, how I had this sense of just vastness of this region. And it looks beautifully rendered. And judging by the photographs, it's pretty accurate. The sound's off because I'm looking externally at some of the photographs. I'm going to bring this up for you to see real quick. So I've shown you this. There's the lake where we flew in from this direction, going kind of like that. And let's see here. Oh, wow. So let's bring it back a bit. Escape out. Escape. Go back to that. I was trying to get you out of this so that we could go on to another picture. But nothing happens on the fly the way you want it, right? And so we should be... Ooh, that's big. Right about here in our plane. So let's get back to here. And see, we're about a time of the year where it's a little more arid, so there's not as much vegetation here, but it's something to see. Oh, we're losing power. We're going to have to switch tanks. We're going to go to auxiliary. I knew we were losing power for a reason. So let's... There we go. And get you... So we, this knob configuration is a little strange to me. But okay, we're good. So we're now in our wing tanks. Or the pods on the end. Totally cool. Because I've been flying a lot and I haven't refueled the craft. And I have on the water detail on high because I really wanted to appreciate this. Well worth it. So yeah, so get a nice pontoon plane, come on out here and see what it's like to land on the lake. I would appreciate if they even, like, on kind of like that vector scale, made the shorelines even that much more detailed. Maybe some birds flying around, because there are. Depending on what scenery you have, there's sometimes animals running around. That would have been cool. If that's, and maybe it's there and I'm just not checking it out yet. But okay, so the challenge, or at least there's a, I'm gonna have to put this website in the link, and it's like basically all the nice scenic places to look at in the flight sim world. But this was way back when there was just, you know, Microsoft Flight Simulator. But you find if you use this list, you find the same things in Prepar. So in this challenge, you're supposed to come here, fly over the crater, even land, take a look around, and then fly back to the airport. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to fly back, and then that will bring in our first in the African series. I've been getting a lot of supportive comments from either people who are in South America or have been to South America suggesting airports to take off and land from. And I'm excited about that because that's really what I was hoping to start the dialogue of some of these regions that fall outside the traditional places that people would tend to fly in Flight Simulator. So please leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this quick little tour of the Ngorongoro crater. Oh wow, that is absolutely beautiful. And I hope you don't think I'm jerking my own chain here. I think this is stunning. Just the detail of the foreground, and then the haze that goes off into the existence with these clouds and the vegetation. It just really looks impressive to me. And you know, hopefully I'm not just, you know, impressing myself here, but I'm just showing it as I see it. Now, I will also offer this as we're flying back. There is the debate. Okay, yeah, but this is still going to be, you know, Flight Sim 2020. We're just waiting for that. Well, let's just understand that they're taking digital satellite data, and they're just downloading it on the fly. I don't see anything that Microsoft is doing that Prepar couldn't do or X-Plane couldn't do of their own accord. Now, what is innovative is that they're doing it on the fly, and that saves hard drive space, which I can imagine. But you know, that realizes that you're always going to need that link to Microsoft to make that work. And you know, I was talking to Adam Pestrich about this, and it's a big weakness that, you know, your internet's out. You can't even amuse yourself if the internet's out, you know, or you're forever a slave to that network that you're going to have to get on. And you know, there's Xbox Live. It's not like that's anything new. May be a problem, may not be, but make sure that you know, have your good internet speed. You might want to get into that Google Fiber internet so that you can have a really good experience. But I simply say this to say, I'm not seeing that which is going to make Microsoft 2020 the death of Prepar or the death of X-Plane. At first I thought, because when I saw it I was like, ooh, wow. But then I started to understand how they're doing it, and then I start to think to myself, someone else can do that. And rather than keep you hooked up to a server, just download the digital imagery of the entire world from Google and then superimpose it on the world that you have in, you know, Flight Sim. I mean, that's kind of like just having mega scenery, isn't it? And then putting AutoGen on top of it. So, you know, I'm not knocking it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to review it. But it doesn't make me in any ways miss or feel like I just spent my money unnecessarily buying Prepared 5. In fact, I'm so glad because I have no desire to go back to playing 4.5 because 5 to me is what 4.5 should have been. As you can see, the frame rates are excellent. It didn't take as much tweaking because here's what I found out. I was doing all this tweaking. You want to know when this started actually running really smooth for me? Putting Nvidia on stock general settings. I was cleaning up a problem and I had to reset it and go back to normal settings, and it could just be my computer. I mean, because of the fact that so many gamers build their computers or get a built computer rather than just a stock Dell or something like that, it just depends on your computer. But for the weird setup that I got, it didn't take a whole lot of... I think I was getting choppy rates before because I was doing tweaking that I shouldn't have even needed to do. But there are things that you need to do so it's conducive to video capturing. And it's a science, if not an art form unto itself. But, you know, you get my point. All right, we'll bring you in just a second. So, we see the airstrip right over there. So what I think we're going to do is bring back our throttle. It's going to lose some altitude. And what we'll do is let's just say we'll do a right-handed downwind. Technically, no, that's a left-handed downwind that I'm planning in my mind. Why the heck not? Okay, we can give it 1 ounce of flaps. 1 notch of flaps. Ounce. Silly me. Okay. And for all the people new to the channel, but you've watched a couple of videos and you were like, oh my gosh, your stuff was so stuttery. You know, what was the problem? Well, as you can see, been working at it, and it's much smoother. I think that we have it now where this is much more representative of what Prepared 5 has to offer. I can build a hella computer. Hardware is my thing. But the nuances of tweaking in the software is not necessarily my strong suit. But with you know, some really generous people in their suggestions and trial and error, we have really gotten this where I think I've dreamt of having it for probably all of my adult life. Because it was always, you get the new technology and the flight sims graphics would always be pushing that envelope, so you could never really crank it up. You'd always be one move behind the curve. Well, this time I think the curve and the hardware technology and the software technology to utilize it all hitting on all cylinders right now. And at the rate that they go, I think I got at least 2 good years of enjoying Prepared 5, depending on what they want to do. And like I said, they have said that this is going to, you know, it's, you know, the platform that they're wanting to introduce new things. So I'm looking forward to it. So all my Microsoft 2000 people out there, I know you're saying, I'm just waiting for 2000, and that's cool. So am I. But I'm not giving up on Prepared, is all I'm saying. Okay, so we have our airport right there. So we'll turn on our base leg in just a moment. Gonna hold here. Since we have a moment, let's... Oh, wow. Look at the way how nicely that just scrolls by. That is just beautiful. And I'm looking at it on 3 monitors, so it's just looks much more panoramic. I wish, you know, that was kind of the standard that we could all enjoy, but that's fine. Let's see, how far back are we? Okay, when it gets basically in that last window, it'll be time for us to do our turn. Looks like atmospheric conditions are a little bit of turbulence is acting on the plane. Gear down. Okay. See it here. A little high, so I'm going to cut back on the throttle and do a hard left rudder with a right turn on the yoke. That'll drop some altitude without us getting too much speed. Oh yeah, they're looking good. Alright, pull next notch of flaps.
$500.
Smooth on the approach, or on the final rather. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, a little bit of flare. There we go. And since this is a what do you call dirt runway, I think they have it here using the animations for gravel. We'll take it. But it's bumpy, as you can see. Exit the runway. As you can see, this is a default stock runway. Nothing fancy. So even though they gave us the African continent, Orbx was like, yeah, we ain't doing all these airports. We're not doing them all up. Yeah, the ground friction is a whole lot different in 5 too. Okay. Okay, we got our brakes. Flaps up. Alright, we're good. So, again, I would really like to thank you for tuning in to our first installment of the Africa series, the African continent. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you see that Africa has something to offer here in terms of the continent. This is just one particular site of many things in Africa to see. In fact, let me just show you quickly before I let you go. The website that I was using, I came across this site in just researching places to see in Flight Simulator. And so if you go to the home, you can see this is simtours.net. I don't even know, this is a no-frill site. Like I said, this was really created for, if you look, Flight Simulator 10, Flight Simulator FS, Flight Sim 2004. So it goes back. But these very same places to visit in here are the same things that are to visit in Prepared. Like under Easter eggs, there are these things like the Acropolis, there's an aircraft carrier in the bay. I don't know if this aircraft carrier is there, but it lists the aircraft carriers that were in Flight Simulator, and I think Prepared tends to mirror the same thing. And even here, look, can download flight plans to get to these aircraft carriers, so that's pretty cool. Um, what else? My guide to aircraft carriers. I'll have to read that sometime. Um, so the Forbidden City, the pyramids. These graphics are a little bit better here in Africa, so I'm going to leave that to you to investigate. Then you got tours. And so the simulator tours, here are all the different places that you can visit. As you can see, here is Ngorongoro crater, which is here in Tunisia. But look at all these other things to look up. Who is amusement park? Oh, okay. So this is the amusement park Coney Island. All right. So it gives you a place that you can take off, and it'll give you a heading to where you want to go to fly to see it. So if you just want to get out and explore and do some VFR flying, I recommend this site. Again, it's simtours.net. It's how I even came across this crater. So go figure. Um, this is this. I think this bridge is in France. If you have, oh, by the way, Chris Bell, I understand, is coming out with a new version for 5 because in his Vector, you also have Vector bridges, so they're more realistic bridges. I wonder if he modeled this one. Totally cool. All right, well, I am done with you guys. I hope you enjoyed the tour. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the virtual skies.